Is it possible that your greatest trials aren't actually an attack from an enemy, but a cross-examination from a loyal servant of the throne? Let's dive right into an explainer that is going to completely shatter how you view one of history's most infamous figures. Today, we're unpacking the deep semantic and theological evolution of the adversary. We're stripping away the modern caricatures to examine the Ha-Satan paradox within the Book of Job. Because, as you'll see, the simple binary of good versus evil completely fails to explain this ancient cosmic courtroom. We're going to trace the history and look at the textual evidence that entirely reframes this concept. Picture this. It's the year 2000, and Hansi Cronje, the deeply beleaguered former captain of the South African cricket team, is caught in a massive match-fixing scandal. In his confession to a church leader, he laid the blame for his misconduct firmly at Satan's door. According to the research of scholar Louis C. Jonker, this is a textbook example of what we call a social theological diagnostic strategy. Essentially, it's externalizing guilt to an ultimate evil to explain away personal unethical conduct. It's the classic, Satan made me do it defense. And that brings us to the central paradox of this entire explainer. Are we dealing with an autonomous force of absolute darkness, or have we just constructed a really convenient scapegoat to avoid looking in the mirror? If we really want to answer this, we have to bypass centuries of tradition and look directly at the earliest texts. Part 1, the Cosmic Courtroom. All right, to really get this framework, we have to strip away the medieval pitchforks, the horns, the whole red suit caricature, and step straight into the ancient divine courtroom. In the original Hebrew texts, the word Satan is primarily used with the definite article ha, making it ha-Satan. Now, this is absolutely crucial. It means we are not looking at a proper name here. We aren't dealing with someone named Bob or Michael. We are looking at a title, the accuser or the adversary. Think of it like the president or the prosecutor. The original sources heavily emphasize that ha-Satan was not originally a demon at all. It was a specific functional job title within the heavenly administration. Listen to this scene from the Book of Job. It says, "The sons of God came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan also came among them." Notice the setting here. The sons of God refer to the divine council, the heavenly host. Ha-Satan arrives among them, but not as an invading rebel. He's there as a member of the administration, essentially reporting for duty. He's a recognized part of the system. Part 2. God's prosecuting attorney. So if he's an official member of the court, what exactly is his job? Well, there's this brilliant metaphor from the Talmud, Tractate Bava Batra 16a, that describes Ha-Satan's mandate when he's dealing with Job. It says, "Break the barrel, but do not spill any of the wine." He is ordered to shatter Job's life to the absolute limit, right? But he cannot cross the threshold into actually taking his breath. It vividly shows that this investigator has incredibly strict, God-given boundaries. He possesses absolutely zero independent power. He can literally only do exactly what the sovereign permits. And we see this super strict job description pop up across multiple ancient texts. In Job, he's auditing human integrity, asking the tough questions like, does Job only love God because he's rich? In Zechariah, he literally stands at the right hand of the high priest, which was the traditional position of a prosecutor in an ancient Near Eastern legal setting, to lodge formal accusations. In Numbers, an angel of the Lord acts as a Satan, an obstacle to Balaam. The point is, he's doing the messy, difficult, sometimes adversarial job assigned to him by the throne. He is the loyal opposition. Part 3. The evolution of evil. Okay, so here is the million-dollar question. How on earth did an obedient, celestial district attorney turn into the ultimate embodiment of cosmic evil? How do we get from a heavenly court official to the ruler of hell? Let's trace the timeline. Around 600 BCE, like we saw in Job, he's a loyal prosecuting attorney. But then comes 539 BCE and the Persian imperial era. The Judean people return from exile, and they're exposed to Persian Zoroastrianism. Now, Zoroastrianism features a very strong cosmic dualism, a literal cosmic war between a good deity and an evil deity. Over the next few centuries, this dualistic idea really starts influencing the theology. By the 2nd century BCE, in texts like those found at Qumran, we see the sudden rise of autonomous demonic forces. And by the 1st century CE, the figure is firmly established in early Christian writings as an entirely independent cosmic rebel leading a kingdom of darkness. To put just how stark this shift is into perspective, consider the number 27. The actual noun Satan appears only 27 times in the entire Masoretic text of the Hebrew Bible. And almost every single time, it's just referring to a simple, situational human adversary.
Think an enemy king or a political opponent, or to that obedient heavenly prosecutor we just talked about. It almost never refers to a supernatural villain fighting a war against God. But right at the end of the Old Testament period, we hit a massive textual turning point. 1 Chronicles 21:1 says Satan stood against Israel and incited David to number Israel. Right here, the word drops the definite article ha. It is used for the very first time as a proper name. Scholars are quick to point out that this was written during that late Persian period we mentioned earlier. It marks a major step in the externalization of evil. Instead of God inciting David directly, which is actually what an older version of this exact story stated, an intermediary figure named Satan is brought in to take the blame. You can really see the profound split this creates. Originally, you had a loyal servant and investigator, totally constrained by divine sovereignty. But through all that apocalyptic and cultural influence, that evolved into a cosmic rebel, an independent source of evil, and the origin of human sin. We moved from a highly complex theology where God is sovereign over all testing to a binary, dualistic system where a rogue enemy soaks up all the blame for everything bad in the world. Part 4. The Internal Accuser. Now, while early Christianity and various sectarian groups completely ran with this new cosmic rebel model, mainstream Rabbinic Judaism took a radically different route, a highly psychological one. The Talmud essentially takes these three separate forces and combines them into one single entity. It states that Satan, the Yetzer Hara, which is the human evil inclination, and the angel of death are all exactly the same thing. It's a psychological cycle, not a literal monster under the bed. First, you have the internal temptation to do wrong. Second is the prosecution, the internal guilt and spiritual consequence. And third is the execution, or the ultimate destructive result of that sin. It keeps the battle entirely inside the human mind. There's this amazing quote from the Talmud that really hammers this home. A person does not commit a sin unless they are overcome by foolishness. Medieval Jewish philosophers like Maimonides viewed Satan purely as a metaphor for this exact foolishness, the human inclination to stray from what we know is right. In this view, there's no external demon forcing your hand. It's just the very real, very human struggle against our own worst impulses. Part 5. The Ultimate Philosophical Challenge. So, what does all this historical and textual evolution actually demand of us right now? Well, it presents us with a choice between two vastly different models. The scapegoat model assumes evil is an external attack. It's Hansi Cronje saying, Satan made me do it. The end result of that is a total loss of moral agency. But then you have the personal responsibility model, which sees evil as an internal choice. It's recognizing that you yielded to your own internal inclinations. The result here is full, uncompromising ownership of your own actions. By studying the historical evolution of Hasatan, we really expose the danger of using an ultimate evil to explain away our own human failures. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative thought. If the binary of a cosmic war between good and evil fails to explain the original texts, if the adversary is merely a heavenly cross-examiner, poking and prodding at the flaws and inclinations that already exist within you, who is truly responsible for your actions? It's a question that challenges every single one of us to stop pointing fingers at the cosmic shadows and finally take full responsibility for our own choices. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.